I've been in and out of cities, in and out of towns, in and out of shows, seen the ups and downs. I've been on and off stages, in and out of clubs, often outrageous, seen a lot of love. I've been going out, where we going now, and I've been out, where we going now. I've been going out, yeah, going now, and I've been out, young cook, where we out, out.
Hit the ground running, hit your town gunning, give you sound bombing, you never seen us coming. Not in your town often, the stage show you loving. Thank you, but we're done and off to the next one.
Alright, so, hey guys, it's JM with Disciple Dojo, and I am here today with my instructor. Actually, this is Derek TC Richardson. What does TC stand for?
Thundercat.
Thundercat. I wanted to do a video on something that's controversial in the BJJ world.
Very.
That's also something that you are comfortable talking about. TC here is a footlock enthusiast. And gi, no gi, it doesn't matter. Big fan of footlocks. I've been on the receiving end of many of those. First of all, though, tell the viewer who you are and why anybody should listen. No, what's your training and your background, and who is this TC guy?
Well, when I got into jiu-jitsu, it was about 13 years ago. It was 13 years ago. And I wasn't in a big city like New York or, in a place where a lot of jiu-jitsu was just entering the States, like California. And so, as a result, we trained wherever we could find grapplers. And so my first school had some Russian Sambo guys who trained there. And then even my second school had an American Sambo guy. And so the first two schools I trained at had a lot of Sambo influence in the jiu-jitsu. And so it was considered very normal for us to do footlocks. I started training at Renzo's in, I think, 2002.
Right.
That's my instructor. That's who I have my brown belt under, as Master Renzo Gracie. And his school is jiu-jitsu for MMA. And because in MMA there are very few rules in terms of the jiu-jitsu aspect of it, footlocks are not considered taboo there either. So when I started getting into experiencing more of the IBJJF players, I was actually shocked to learn that footlocks were considered taboo. It would be like learning that your triangle choke was considered taboo for fear that it would hurt somebody's carotid artery. A lot of people, because they don't practice footlocks and they're uncomfortable with it, they try to roll out of the footlock. And in no-gi, because there's not as much friction, they can be successful at that.
Right.
In the gi, though, if you try to spin out of it, the friction is what can hurt you. And I don't recommend spinning out of a footlock. There's only a few specific situations where you should turn from a footlock.
Right.
In general, just rolling can get you in a lot of trouble.
I've heard you say before, spinning out of a footlock or rolling out of a footlock is like what? It's like
extending your arm to block an armbar.
Okay, so it's most of the time rolling or spinning is the worst thing to do when you're in a footlock.
There are a few specific situations where you'll want to turn out, but I would say as a general rule of thumb, I do not recommend to my students that they try to spin out of a footlock.
Right. Now, a lot of schools, and they're really good schools and schools that I've trained at, and this discussion of footlocks is in no way an insult to any school that doesn't do it or anything. It's a specific part of your game and that you instill in your students. There have been some places where they'll do footlocks, but not until, say, blue belt or sometimes even purple belt. They don't learn footlocks until then. And the reasons that they give it is they say, well, it's not safe for white belts to do footlocks and because they're so dangerous. So tell me a little bit about that, what you think about starting off. How do you approach it?
We teach footlocks, and a lot of people are shocked by this, but we teach footlocks even at the beginning. Just like I was introduced to footlocks from the beginning. And when you're introduced to it from the beginning, it's not as scary, and you learn how to properly defend it and how far to take it, just like you would anything else, Kimura locks, straight arm locks, chokes. You understand that there's a limit and there's a careful progression. I've seen more people, as they learn basic techniques, get hurt with rotator cuff injuries than I have from injuries to the leg from leg and foot attack.
There's been, I know, I believe it was Jason Scully who started a petition actually to the IBJJF. It was on the underground, and it was a petition to allow reaping the knee. Tell me about reaping the knee, what that is, and why how that's received so far.
I signed that petition. I signed Jason Scully's petition. And reaping the knee is the rule where if the foot comes over the leg and you turn this knee in, under IBJJF rules, this will get you disqualified.
Immediate disqualification.
Immediate disqualification.
Like, sometimes you don't even get a warning.
Right. If this foot comes over.
This one, yeah, past my hip.
Past your hip. They do allow it to come here
Right.
for pressure, but you can't turn the knee in. You have to turn the knee out.
Right. So now they allow this foot to come over. Al, this is 50-50, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
50-50. 50-50 is fine.
So this is somehow
Yes.
less dangerous, apparently, than just this.
Apparently, they seem to be more concerned about one ligament over another.
Right. But physiologically, is there any reason to differentiate? I mean, aren't they?
I'm not an ortho specialist, but I would have to say no. There's no major difference between the inside and the medial and the anterior ligaments in the knee.
Right. If you could give just not a plea, but maybe a suggestion to anyone who has any influence in IBJJF circles or other grappling that doesn't allow footlocks, what would you tell them about footlocks?
I would encourage them to allow reaping the knee. I would encourage them to choose the technique that you're afraid of getting hurt. Heel hooks, I think, are probably more dangerous than an Achilles lock. I think we'd all agree that the heel hook is the fear when you reap the leg. Right. But I had a great instructor once tell me, he said, if you can get a heel hook, you can get an Achilles lock from the same position, always. Right. And so, if you're worried about the knee specifically, have them do Achilles locks, allow reaping the knee, but have them do an Achilles lock. And, right. And I think that's a safe.
So target if the heel hook's the danger. Target the heel hook. Reaping the knee, because there's other uses for reaping the knee. Setting up other types of footlocks, setting up sweeps, getting positioning. It's pretty useful, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do some footlocks now.
Let's talk about something we just discussed, which is why you shouldn't spin out of the footlock. Now, there's a danger with spinning out of the footlock, but even more than that, spinning out of the footlock can provide some unique opportunities to a footlocker. Okay. So let's talk about why you don't do that. If you'll come to this side. If I've got this footlock and the best position, no, we're going to roll that.
We're going to roll that. Okay.
If I'm going to this footlock, I want to create a position. The best footlocks are positions in which my feet are together, so they can block each other and prevent him if he tries to grab my foot. They can protect each other, but situations in which his feet cannot protect each other. So I want to create a situation where I can attack one foot without the other one blocking, and my feet are able to protect each other. So my ideal footlock position is with a reaped knee.
Ah, you reaped my knee!
Controlling the far leg so that he can't bring it over to rescue it. We call that rescue theory, when it comes in and rescues it. Right. So, if this guy, if I throw the leg, if I set my footlock and I start here, I'm not yet in my position. So a lot of guys would start to roll. Now when he rolls, freeze right here. Look, as he rolls, he leaves a nice big hole underneath. I take the foot that was on the hip, and as we roll, I dive it through. And look, now I'm in my A-game position. And I can attack his foot, heel hook, Achilles lock, toe hold. Let's do that from the other side so they can see. All right. So I set my foot lock. Oops.
Oh,
I set my foot lock, but I don't have my A-game position yet. So as he rolls, right here, I'm going to use this hole underneath to dive my foot through. And when he comes around that first roll, look, I already have his feet separated. I've got his leg. This is my finish.
Right. That's why you don't roll out of a footlock, typically?
Yes.
One of the reasons?
That's one reason.
Okay.
That's one reason. Let me show you another one.
Okay.
I have a second one.
All right.
Second reason. Reason number 2, you shouldn't roll out of a footlock. Let's say I set my footlock. And he goes to roll, and I don't roll with him this time. He gets too quick. He starts to roll too quick. Freeze right here. I'm going to look for anything I can grab. I'm going to pull my heel right into the bend of his knee, and I'm going to reach for anything I can grab, and I'm going to pull myself up into him and set the muscle lock. As soon as I get up, I'm going to immediately try to hug, which is collapsing his foot in for the muscle lock. When you do this technique, you want to push your knee out so that just the sharp part of your shin is in the bend of the knee. If he rolls, and I don't follow him, I'm not quick enough, I pull the bottom of my shin into the bend of the knee, I grab, I sit up, and I set my Z-lock.
Right. So what if people, and we'll show some more, but what if people have some questions about some of this stuff or want to learn more?
If you guys have any questions about any of the footlock stuff we've done, shoot me an email. leader1@leadershipma.com. We're here in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can look us up on Google. And if you're in the area, please stop by and visit. We'd love to have you train with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And there will be information that will be maybe right here.
Visualize, is it really full of lies, or are we angels in disguise?
We tell them that it's all true, we do it all for you. All we offer you is fun at your venue. Even if it's 10 dudes in the crowd and me and Uno, you know we go all out and so should you.
And it's never gonna change, every show, every stage. We gon' make you feel this music, it don't matter your age. Yeah, from old to juvenile, these people getting wild. They always want us back, cause we go that extra mile.
I've been in and out of